Knowing I had to do dialysis was very frightening and overwhelming. And I worried about how much dialysis would hurt. I worried what the quality of my life would be. I worried if the nurses or the staff would be kind to me or if I'd just feel like I was a number. And I imagined myself feeling like I was chained up to a machine for hours. And during that time, I would just be thinking about how uncomfortable it was and all the things that I could be doing instead of just sitting here having to do dialysis. The more you learn and the more you know about dialysis will help that anxiety and that fear to be less overwhelming. I've compiled a list of things that you could be doing now that will help you prepare for dialysis, and also talk about the things that you are responsible for once you start dialysis. The first step that I would do to lessen my fear and anxiety is to talk with my nephrologist or kidney specialist about dialysis and what options you may have. I didn't do this, probably because I didn't want to face it. And I learned on YouTube that there was actually more than one way to do dialysis, that there was hemodialysis and there was peritoneal dialysis. And I had this idea that I would like to do peritoneal dialysis at home, but I never discussed this with the doctor until the doctor said, hey, you've got to start dialysis really soon, and peritoneal dialysis at home might be a good option. And I think if I had talked with the nephrologist earlier about this, it wouldn't have been this unknown nebula causing a lot of anxiety. Once you know what your options are, the second part is to take action in choosing what form of dialysis you want to do. Do your research. You can watch some of my other videos and talk to people who have gone through dialysis. But ultimately, be active and be the one that decides what kind of dialysis you want to do. The third step is to visit the dialysis clinic you'll be using. You will find it very helpful to visit the facility where you'll be doing dialysis, or where the nurses are that are going to support you if you do dialysis at home. It will really help you with the mechanics of having to do dialysis and lessen that anxiety. Now, this isn't an unusual request to ask to visit and tour the facility, and a lot of patients do this. Now, this wasn't something that I even thought of. It didn't even come to my mind. And I think it would have been really useful for me because I would have learned that the dialysis clinic was only 20 minutes away from my home. The next step is to ask if you can talk to a dialysis patient who is going to that facility that you will be using. Sometimes these patients will be able to really help you understand what it's going to be like doing dialysis. They can give you some tricks and some hints. The next thing I would do is to make sure that you write down all the questions that you have so that when you're at your doctor's appointment, you're able to remember all the things that you wanted to talk and discuss about. Now, there are no dumb questions because once you know the answer, you're not going to have to ask again. And I think it's really important that you have a good understanding and a grasp of what is happening around you so that you can make the best decisions for your health and your sanity. To help you make sure that you get all your questions answered, sometimes it can be really helpful to bring somebody along with you to your appointments. I was lucky enough that my husband wanted to come, and he was very helpful because lots of times I'd feel overwhelmed by all the data I was getting, and I felt maybe embarrassed about interrupting the doctor while they were talking. And my husband was a little more confident in that and would ask questions and make sure that everything was checked off the little list of things that we wanted to do. And that was really helpful to have somebody there with me on my team. The sixth step is to know what you are responsible for once you start dialysis. Now, you're going to want to take as much of this responsibility as you can, but know that each of these steps that I'm going to go over, you're not going to have to do this on your own. There will be people at the clinic to help you, and hopefully there'll be friends and family who will also help and support you. Taking on as much responsibility as you can, that will help you feel like you have control over what is happening to you. The first thing you're responsible for is how are you going to pay for dialysis? Now, this can take a long time because there's a lot of paperwork to fill out and a lot of hoops to jump through. So it's best to start now. I'm not going to lie, for most of us in the United States, this part can be the most aggravating and frustrating. Trying to work with insurance companies can bring you so much frustration that you'll end up in tears, because that happened to me a lot. Many of the costs associated with dialysis, whether at home or in center, are covered by Medicare, which is funding given through the federal government. There's also private insurance, there's veteran benefits, there's TRICARE, which is, I guess, formerly known as campus, and that's if you're an active or retired from the military. And there's also Medicaid, which is state medical insurance. And dialysis centers have social workers that can help you know what you need to fill out and do to be able to get coverage. Also, the social worker and many pharmacies will help you find coupons or ways to be able to get discounted prices on your medical supplies. You are responsible for figuring out how you're going to make it to your appointments and to the dialysis clinic for treatment. Some people do not feel well after doing hemodialysis, so it's best to find a ride there to the clinic and a ride back home until you figure out how your body will feel after doing dialysis. The social worker at your dialysis clinic might be able to help you find resources in being able to find transportation. Now that you've figured out transportation, it is your responsibility to go to your scheduled dialysis treatments and to make it to all your doctor appointments. It is important to make sure you're getting enough treatment for you and your body. When dialysis is done correctly, your overall health will be better and you'll have more energy to be able to deal with all the stresses of life. You will also be responsible for making sure you get all your blood work done. Now, my blood work was taken care of when I went to the clinic, but you need to make sure that your blood work is done so that they can monitor how well your body is doing on dialysis, and that will help them know if they've got to change something in your diet or you need to take more or less of a medication. You are also responsible to manage and control other health conditions like high blood pressure or diabetes. By taking care of these, you will be as healthy as you can. You are also responsible for following the diet that your dietitian or your doctor gives you. Many clinics have dietitians who are trained to work with people that are on dialysis. It can be really frustrating to figure out what you're able to eat when you have restrictions on foods that are high in phosphorus and potassium, and you're supposed to lessen your intake of salt and sometimes even fluid. But the dietitian can help you know how to still be able to eat the foods that you love just on a smaller scale, and how to flavor your food with wonderful herbs and spices rather than salt. Following the recommended diet and food restrictions given to you by your dietitian or your doctor is really key to your success of being on dialysis. When you don't take care of what you're eating and drinking, it can cause other health conditions. And if you're struggling to stay in this diet that you've been given, talk to your caretakers, talk to your nurses, talk to the doctor. They're not there to judge you, they're there to help you. And I have found that they're very encouraging and they just want you to succeed. You are also responsible for taking the medications you've been prescribed. Medication reminders and pill boxes can all help to make sure that you take your medication in time. And if you're having trouble being able to find money and funding for them, make sure you talk to somebody so that you can get the help to make sure that you can take the medications that you need. And if you decide to do peritoneal dialysis at home, you are in charge of therapy and all the supplies. You're going to be the one that sets up for therapy, you're going to be the one that does therapy, you're going to be the one that cleans up, and you're going to be the one that has to store and make sure that you have all the supplies that you need. Dialysis supplies take up a lot of space, and the fluids need to be stored in an area that is clean, dry, and temperature controlled. You will also be responsible for ordering your supplies every month. Now, this can seem overwhelming, but the nurses at the clinic will help you learn how to order. They will take you step by step. For me, they even ordered at the beginning until I felt comfortable enough for ordering myself. You are responsible for getting your body and your mind up and moving. Go for walks, do puzzles, plan activities outside that you enjoy doing. It is really important to plan things ahead that you can look forward to help keep your mood up and cheerful. And sometimes it's fun to start a new hobby. And on those days when you don't have a lot of energy, find an activity that you can do that will still help you feel like you're being productive. You are also responsible for getting help with your emotions. Life with kidney disease and all its treatments can be upsetting, especially those first couple of weeks and months. You'll go through the process of grief and feeling overwhelmed. You may even experience a mental crisis as you face having to do dialysis. This stress can cause a wide range of feelings like irritability, anger, frustration, and feeling hopeless, helpless, and depressed. These feelings are common, are understandable, and can be overwhelming. They can come on suddenly, or they can have a slow burning build. To an outsider, these emotions might seem like too much or over the top, but sometimes moodiness is a reflection of our health. Having these extra toxins and fluid in our blood do affect our emotions, and sometimes medication can make us feel depressed, isolated. Ask for help if these feelings become overwhelming and you feel like you are just drowning. Social workers at the clinic can help you get counseling. There is nothing wrong with getting help with your emotions. Dealing with life is hard enough, and then adding kidney failure and dialysis can seem overwhelming for one person to have to deal with on their own. Asking help is not a sign of weakness. It just shows a desire to want to live well. Do what you can do, but don't overdo it. And realize that not every day you're going to have the same amount of energy, and that can be frustrating. So be patient and calm with yourself. Understanding your own needs and taking charge of your health-related responsibilities will help you feel like you have control over your own life. This is really important in helping to offset the feelings of helplessness. You will be able to do things that bring you joy and fulfillment in life. Yes, they may be harder to do. Yes, they may not happen as often, but there will be moments and there will be days that are worth living for. Look for them, plan for them, and when they happen, take full joy in that moment. Thanks for watching. I'm so thankful that I'm able to connect with you through another video. Hopefully in my next video, I'll be able to talk a little bit about where I am on my kidney journey.